Hello, Jake Huling here with Aircraft Sales Advisor. I'd like to welcome you to the first in a new series of short reports that I'm calling 9 Steps to a Successful Sale or Purchase of Your Plane. My reports, quite simply, are designed to give you what you need, when you need it, and without the hassle of having to contact a broker. In these reports, I'm going to give you advice and information, a lot of which the industry doesn't want you to know about, and how to use that information to navigate your way to a successful sale or purchase of your plane. I like to keep my reports as short as possible, so let's get right down to business. Let's talk about complaints. The top complaints, in fact, and frustrations that I hear from my clients, customers, and new contacts pretty regularly. To make matters worse, these complaints seem to be the same whether folks are buying or selling a plane. The number one complaint and frustration I hear is that people don't trust the system, and they definitely don't trust brokers. They don't believe the information they are being given is accurate or for their benefit. They believe brokers are out to only help themselves and that they will say just about anything they think you want to hear in order to get their next sale. The number two frustration and complaint I hear usually goes something like this. Someone will call in and introduce themselves and in a very frustrated tone say, all I'd like to do is get some information about the market. I'm not sure what I want to do yet, and no one is willing to give me the information I need. They all want me to sign a contract before they're willing to help. Which leads us to the reputation of the industry. And it's sad to me that the industry has this reputation because it really doesn't have to be this way. Now, don't get me wrong, there are good men and women in this industry. I work with them on a regular basis. The problem is that they and I are far outnumbered by those who think that the best way to do business is to think of themselves first instead of their client or customer. I take a totally different approach. So before we go any further, let me explain how my approach is different than what you've probably seen out there. You see, I believe you should be given up front for free and initially with no commitment all of the information and advice you will need to be able to make an informed and comfortable decision about buying or selling your plane. What this also does is it gives you and the broker a chance to work together. Let me give you an example of why that's important. Take my approach. Will it work for you? Maybe, but maybe not. But how will you know if all I wanted from you was a signed contract up front before we ever even got started? Let me explain a little bit more about my approach. I really believe that if you care about your clients and customers, and you really care about them and their situation and what's best for them, then you don't have to worry about yourself because you'll be taken care of in the process. The industry, however, is afraid that if they give you information up front, you will take that information and go somewhere else. But I believe if what you're offering a customer or client is of value, why would they go anywhere else? Commissions. Let's talk about commissions because that's a big deal and a lot of people have questions about what a fair commission is, or what a standard commission is, and is there one in the industry? Well, first off, let me tell you, no, there really isn't a standard commission in the industry. Brokers will typically make their money one of two ways. The number one way is they will enter into an agreement with you and have either a fixed fee or a percentage that they will get on the total sale or purchase price of the plane that you buy or sell. Number two is they'll get in between you and the person buying your plane or selling the one you want. I'll explain how that one works in a moment. And it may surprise you to know that I always recommend the first approach. Why is that? Because it gives you a chance to not only know what the broker's making, but to have a say in how much the broker's making. I also recommend, especially if you're selling, that you go with a percentage-based commission. That way the broker has a personal stake in how much your plane is sold for. It's not just a flat fee that they get regardless of whether the plane sells for a high or low price. Let me give you a little bit more information about that second approach, the way the brokers make money. This happens usually when a buyer or seller decides they really don't want a broker involved. And that is usually because they don't want to pay for one. And they feel that this will save them some money. The problem and the danger is there is almost always a broker involved. And I can tell you when there's a broker involved, there's going to be a commission involved. The only difference is with this approach, you don't know how much they're making, and that means you also don't have a say in how much it is. So who's really selling your plane? You see, what happens is this. A broker will come to you and say they would like to buy your plane. But what they don't tell you is they really don't have an interest in buying it for themselves. They found a buyer for your plane, and they will negotiate a price with both you and that buyer. Once they get an offer from that buyer, they'll present it to you for a lower amount. It looks like they're buying it because the offer is in their name, but it's really just changing hands with a markup that's usually a lot more than what their commission would have been. And they're also think about this, not working for you. The same thing happens when you're buying a plane. It's presented as if it's the broker's plane with their contact information on it. They don't, however, own the plane or represent the owner. What they are doing is taking the price the real owner is asking, marking it up, and presenting it to you as if it's their plane. Same as before, only now you're just on the other side. One of the big problems with this approach, and again, it's the same as before, you don't know what the commission is until after the sale, if at all, and if you do find out, you probably won't be very happy when you learn how much it is. How much better to know about and have a say in not only the amount of the commission, but to also have that person working directly for you and representing you instead of themselves. I also recommend you find someone who doesn't charge anything up front and only gets paid at the end, and only if they come through for you with a sale or purchase of your plane. So just imagine not having to pay someone unless they deliver and come through for you. A lot of people in the industry think that's a crazy way to go. But I believe if you really can and will do everything you say, why would you be afraid of that? And last but not least, before you know how much you're going to need, you'll be paying in commissions, you're going to have to make some decisions. If you're selling, you need to determine the value of your plane, and you need to know how to do that and how you want to bring it to market. If you're buying, you'll need to also be able to how to determine the fair value of a plane, whatever you're interested in, and you'll need to decide the best way to go about finding your plane, how to go about that search. So in my next report, we're going to talk about how the value of a plane is determined. It may surprise you to know how the industry goes about that. There are some good things about it, and there are some bad things that you need to avoid. We'll also talk about commission and percentages, commission rates, and what they should be and should not be. So that's in the next report. Thank you so much for joining me on this first report in a new series called 9 Steps to a Successful Sale or Purchase of Your Plane. This is Jake Huling from Aircraft Sales Advisor. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.